The alien warship came out of hyperspace like a hungry wolf finding a lost sheep. Captain Vex High of the Craven Empire stood on his bridge, looking at the small human ship on his screen. His sharp teeth showed in what his kind called a smile. The human vessel looked weak and helpless, just floating there in the dark space between stars. Perfect, Vex High said to his crew. Another easy target. The Craven had been hunting for 3 days. Their bioship needed fresh energy, and raiding cargo ships was the easiest way to get it. The ship they found was called the Prairie Wind, and it looked like any other human trading vessel. Small, slow, and carrying medical supplies to some. Far colony. Vex High had raided many ships before. Humans were always the easiest prey. They never fought back properly. They always tried to talk or run away. Sometimes they begged. It made the hunt boring, but it was good business. Scan their ship. Vex High ordered his weapons officer. I want to know what they're carrying. The scan came back quickly. Medical. Supplies, food, and some basic tools, Captain. Nothing valuable, but the ship itself should bring good money. Vex High nodded. Even a cheap human ship was worth something. And if the crew was young and healthy, they could be sold too. The Craven Empire had many uses for slaves. On the human ship, Captain Jake Morrison watched the alien vessel approach. He was a big man with gray hair and calm eyes. At 45 years old, he had been flying cargo ships for 20 years. But before that, he had been something else. Something the aliens didn't know about. They're getting closer, Captain, said Lisa Grant from her seat at the communication station. She was young, maybe 25, with short brown hair and steady hands. Should I try to contact them? Not yet, Morrison said. He looked relaxed, but his crew knew him well enough to see the signs. His jaw was tight, and his hands were perfectly. Still, that meant he was ready for trouble. Pete Rodriguez, the first officer, quietly pressed a few buttons on his control panel. He was a thin man with quick fingers and quicker eyes. The buttons he pressed didn't show up on any normal ship. Blueprint. They activated systems that cargo ships weren't supposed to have. How many crew on that ship? Morrison asked. Scanning now, said Ryan Hayes from the tactical station. He was the youngest crew member, barely 22, but he had the best eyes. For reading alien ships. Looks like about 30, maybe 35. Standard Craven Raider setup? Morrison nodded. The Craven were known across 3 galaxies as killers. They had bioships that could heal themselves and adapt to enemy weapons. They had conquered 17 star systems in the past year alone. Most species feared them, but Morrison didn't. Look afraid. Captain, Lisa said, they're sending a message. Put it through. The alien voice was rough and full of hatred. Human ship, this is Captain Vex High of the Craven Empire. You will stop your engines and prepare to be boarded. Surrender your cargo and crew, and your death will be quick. Morrison looked at his crew. Amanda Porter, the engineer, was already working on her console. She was a small woman with red hair and oil-stained hands. She knew every bolt and wire on the ship. Danny Cooper, the pilot, was making tiny adjustments to their course. He was a quiet man who could fly anything with engines. Should we send the standard warning? Lisa asked. Morrison thought about it. The Galactic Accords said that human ships had to give hostile aliens one chance to leave. Most aliens thought it was a joke. They thought humans were too weak to be dangerous. Open a channel, Morrison said. The connection opened, and Morrison spoke clearly. Craven vessel, this is Captain Morrison of the Terran merchant ship Prairie. Wind, you are advised to stand down and withdraw immediately. This is your only warning. On the alien ship, Vex High laughed. His crew laughed too. They had heard humans give warnings before. It was always the same. Empty words from weak creatures. Humans. Vex High said to his crew, "They think words will save them. Charge weapons. Let's finish this quickly." The bioship's weapons began to glow. Plasma cannons that could melt steel. Boarding pods that could cut through any hull. Neural disruptors that could scramble the minds of most species. Morrison watched the alien ship power up its weapons. He felt sorry for them. They had no idea what they were about to face. "Sir," Pete said quietly, "they're not backing down." "I can see that," Morrison said. He looked at his crew one more time. They were ready. They had been ready for years. The alien ship fired. Morrison sighed and shook his head. "Well, gentlemen and ladies," they made their choice. "Let's show them why attacking human ships is the biggest mistake anyone can make in 3 galaxies." The Prairie Wind had been waiting for this moment. So had her crew. And so had the dozen other human ships hiding in the area, invisible to alien sensors, waiting for the signal. The real lesson was about to begin. 3 weeks before the Prairie Wind met the Craven ship, strange conversations were happening in bars and trading posts across the galaxy. The topic was always the same: human ships and the mysterious things that happened to anyone who attacked them. On Kepler Station, a massive trading hub floating in neutral space, aliens from dozens of species gathered to do business. The station was safe ground where even enemies could meet without fighting. But in the dark corners of the main cantina, whispers spread like poison. "You're new here," said Vecalon, a scarred Vortanian trader. His blue skin was covered in old battle marks, and his forearms moved nervously as he spoke. "You don't understand what you're talking about." The creature he spoke to was young and foolish. Keshmer was a Sithrock raider, barely old enough to command his own ship. His red eyes glowed with confidence, and his sharp claws clicked on the table as he spoke. "Humans are weak," Keshmer said. "My clan has taken hundreds of merchant ships across 3 galaxies. We know easy prey when we see it." An old Centauri merchant named Veltar leaned closer. His gray skin was wrinkled with age, and his voice was soft but serious. 23 of our battle fleets have vanished near human shipping lanes. Not defeated. Vanished. No debris, no survivors, no witnesses." Keshmer laughed. "Old stories to scare children. The only thing left behind," Veltar continued, "were warning buoys in 17 different languages, all saying the same thing. This is what happens when you attack human ships." Other aliens at nearby tables had stopped talking to listen. The conversation about humans always drew attention. Everyone had heard the stories. Most didn't believe them. Decalon pulled out a small device and projected a hologram above the table. It showed a star chart with red marks scattered across it. "These are the locations where pirate fleets have disappeared. All of them were last seen heading toward human cargo ships." The hologram shifted, showing more data. The Zephyrian Corsairs, gone. The Black Nebula Raiders, gone. The Stellar Wolves, gone. Over 300 pirate ships in the last 5 years. All vanished after attacking human vessels. "Where's the proof?" Keshmer demanded. "Show me wreckage, show me bodies." "That's a problem," said a new voice. A female Draknori pilot joined the conversation. Her name was Zareth, and she was known for being careful and smart. "There's never any proof. Just empty space where pirate fleets used to be." She activated her own hologram, showing security footage from the station. This was last month. A human freighter called the Mountain View requested emergency docking, said they had engine trouble. The footage showed a typical human cargo ship, nothing special about it. Medium size, basic design, no visible weapons. The kind of ship that looked like an easy target. Within 6 hours, Zareth continued, 3 different pirate groups moved to intercept it. The Crimson Talons, the Void Hunters, and the Death's Head Squadron. 47 ships total, all fully armed. The hologram shifted to show the pirate fleets moving toward the human ship. They surrounded it completely, blocking any escape routes. "What happened next?" asked a young Fallish trader. "Watch," Zareth said. The security footage jumped forward in time. The human ship was gone. The pirate fleets were gone too. Not destroyed, not scattered. Just gone. The space where they had been was completely empty. The mountain view left the... Next morning, Zareth said, her engines were running perfectly. Her crew acted like nothing had happened. When station security asked about the missing pirates, the human captain just said they had worked out their differences. Keshmer stared at the empty space in the hologram. "That's impossible. Ships don't just disappear. Tell that to the families." "Of the missing pirates," Bekalon said. 3 different species, all with fleets that vanished without a trace. An old Corvan mercenary named Hextar spoke up from across the room. His species was known for being tough and hard to kill. "My unit was hired to escort some traders through human space last year. We saw a human cargo ship get attacked by a small raider group. 6 ships against 1. Everyone in the cantina was listening now," Hextar continued. "We were ready to help the humans. Felt sorry for them. But our captain told us to wait and watch." "What did you see?" someone asked. "The human ship didn't run, didn't call for help. Just sat there while the raiders came closer. When they opened fire, something incredible happened." Hextar's voice dropped to a whisper. The cargo ship's hull opened up like a flower. Weapons came out that we couldn't identify. The ship moved like a fighter, not a freighter. "What happened to the raiders?" "Gone in 30 seconds. Not destroyed. Just gone. Like they never existed." The cantina was quiet now. Even the bartender had stopped working to listen. "After it was over," Hextar said, "the human ship closed up again. Looked exactly like a normal cargo vessel. The captain sent us a message thanking us for our concern, but said they hadn't needed any help." Keshmer was starting to look worried. "You're all trying to scare me." "No," said Veltar sadly. "We're trying to save your life. Every species learns the same lesson eventually. You can attack human ships if you want, but you only get to do it once." A Brakari information broker named Sithel had been listening quietly. Now he spoke up. "I've been collecting data on human ship encounters for years. Want to know what I've learned?" He didn't wait for an answer. "Humans have the safest shipping lanes in 3 galaxies. Lower piracy rates than any other species. But it's not because they're weak. It's because attacking them is suicide. The math is simple," Sithel continued. "In the past 10 years, over 800 pirate ships have attacked human vessels. Confirmed kills by humans, 0. Missing pirate ships, 807. And numbers hung in the air like a death sentence. "They don't kill pirates," Bekalon said quietly. "They just make them disappear, and that's so much worse." Young Keshmer looked around the cantina. Every alien face was serious now. The laughter and confidence were gone. "What are you saying?" he asked. "We're saying," Veltar answered, "that human ships are not what they seem, and if you're smart, you'll find easier prey." But Keshmer was young and proud. He left the cantina that night, planning to prove the old aliens wrong. His ship was fast, his crew was skilled, and humans were just humans. 3 days later, his ship vanished near the outer rim. Just like all the others. The stories in the cantina continued, but they had a new chapter now. And somewhere in the darkness, between stars, human ships continued their routes, looking harmless and defenseless. It was the perfect trap. The Craven warship was beautiful in its own deadly way. The bioship was twice the size of the Prairie Wind, with living armor that could heal itself and adapt to any weapon. Its hull pulsed with a sick green light and tentacle-like sensors. Reached out to taste the space around it, Captain Vex High stood on his bridge, watching the human cargo ship with hungry eyes. His crew of 35 warriors was ready for battle. They had done this dance many times before. Find a weak ship. Destroy it. Take what they wanted. "They're not moving," reported his weapons officer, a young Kreven named Dexmal. "Just sitting there like they're waiting to die." "Humans always freeze when they see us," Vexai said. "They know they can't fight. They know they can't run. All they can do is hope we kill them quickly." On the prairie wind, Captain Morrison watched the alien ship get closer. His crew was calm, but he could see the tension in their faces. They had trained for this moment, but training was different. From the real thing. "They're powering up weapons," Ryan Hayes said from his tactical station. The young man's fingers moved quickly over his controls, reading the alien ship's energy patterns. Bioplasma cannons, boarding pods, and something else. Some kind of neural weapon. Morrison nodded. The Kraven were known for their mind attacks. It could scramble the thoughts of most species, leaving them helpless while the aliens took what they wanted. "Sir," Amanda Porter said from the engineering station, "should I bring our systems online?" "Not yet," Morrison said. "Let them get closer first." Engineer Porter looked nervous, but she trusted her captain. Her hands stayed ready over controls that weren't supposed to exist on a cargo ship. The prairie wind had secrets that would surprise anyone who thought they knew human vessels. Danny Cooper, the pilot, made small adjustments to their course. To the aliens, it would look like random drift. But Cooper was positioning the ship exactly where Morrison wanted it. "They're in range," Ryan said. Morrison opened a communication channel to the alien ship. "Kraven vessel, this is Captain Morrison. Of the Terran merchant ship Prairie Wind. You are advised to stand down and withdraw immediately. This is your only warning." The response came back immediately. Vexhi's voice was full of cruel laughter. "Human, you will surrender now, or watch your crew die slowly. We will take your ship and everything in it. If you cooperate, we might let some of you live as slaves." Morrison closed the channel and looked at his crew. Lisa Grant at communications was young but steady. Pete Rodriguez, his first officer, was already activating hidden systems. Amanda Porter was routing power to equipment that didn't appear on any official ship plans. "Sir," Lisa said quietly, "should we call for help?" "No need," Morrison said. "We are the help." The Kraven ship fired its neural disruptor first. The weapon was designed to scramble human minds, leaving them confused and helpless. It was their favorite way to start a fight. The energy beam hit the prairie wind directly. On most ships, the crew would have collapsed immediately, their minds turned to soup by the alien technology. But nothing happened. "Mental shielding is holding," Ryan said calmly. "Their psychic attack feels like a gentle breeze." Morrison smiled. Every human in space carried neural implants that protected them from alien mind control. The technology had been developed after the Proxima incident 15 years ago, when an entire human colony had been enslaved by a species with mental powers. Never again. "They look confused," Danny said, watching the alien ship. "I don't think they understand why we're still conscious." Vex High was indeed confused. His ship's most powerful weapon had failed completely. The humans were still moving around their bridge, still responding to commands. How was that possible? "Fire plasma cannons," he ordered. "Destroy their engines. We'll board them and find out what went wrong." The bioplasma cannons charged up with a sound like screaming wind. The weapons could melt through any normal ships. Hull in seconds. The green energy beams lanced out toward the prairie wind, but the human ship didn't try to dodge. Instead, something incredible happened. The prairie wind's hull began to change. What had looked like simple cargo containers suddenly shifted and opened. Panels that had seemed like basic metal plating revealed themselves as something else entirely. Adaptive. Defenses online, Amanda said calmly. Their weapons are charging our main batteries. The bioplasma hit the human ship and simply disappeared. The energy was absorbed by systems that shouldn't exist on a cargo vessel. The Prairie Winds Hall drank in the alien fire like a sponge, soaking up water dot on the Craven ship. Alarms began to sound. Impossible, Vex High whispered. Nothing can absorb bioplasma. It burns through any material. Sir, his weapons officer said, their ship is changing. The hull is reshaping itself. Vex High looked at his screen and felt fear for the first time. In years, the human cargo ship was transforming before his eyes. The disguise was falling away like a snake shedding its skin. Hidden weapon ports opened along the hull. Sensor arrays that had been invisible suddenly became active. The ship's true shape was revealed, and it was nothing like a simple freighter. What is that thing? Dexmull whispered. Morrison stood up from his captain's chair. All crew, prepare for combat operations. Let's show our guests what happens when you attack human ships. The Prairie Wind completed its transformation. What had been a harmless cargo vessel was now clearly a heavy warship, weapons that could crack planets. Shields that could stop anything. Speed that could outrun most fighters. Return fire, Morrison said quietly. The human ship's weapons fired once. The blast punched through the Craven ship's bio-armor like it was paper. Systems that had seemed invincible were destroyed in an instant. They fired again. The alien ships. Weapons were gone. They fired a third time. The Craven ship's engines went dead. The entire battle had lasted 12 seconds. Craven vessel, Morrison said over the communication channel. Prepare to be boarded. Your crew will be processed according to galactic accords and returned to your territory with a message. Vex High stared at his ruined ship. Half his crew was injured. His weapons were destroyed. His engines were dead. And he finally understood what the stories had been trying to tell him. Human ships were not prey. They were predators, and the hunt was over. The boarding operation was unlike anything the Craven had ever experienced. Instead of the brutal invasion they were used to, human soldiers moved through their ship with professional calm. They wore black armor that made no sound, and their weapons were aimed, but not fired. Captain Vex High sat in his command chair, watching the humans work. His ship was crippled, his crew defeated, but none of them were dead. The humans had been careful not to kill anyone, even during the battle. Why? He asked when the human boarding party commander approached him. The human removed her helmet, revealing a middle-aged woman with gray hair and kind eyes. Why what? She asked. Why didn't you kill us? Vex High's voice was full of confusion. We attacked you. We would have killed all of you. Commander Sarah Miller looked at the alien captain with something like pity. Because that's not how humans do things. We don't kill unless we have to. She gestured to her soldiers, who were helping injured Craven crew members. My medics are treating your wounded. My engineers are making sure your life support keeps working. When we're done here, you'll be taken to a prison ship and then returned to your people. Vex High couldn't understand it. But we're your enemies. We've killed thousands of your kind. No, Sarah said sadly. You've killed thousands of people who couldn't defend themselves. There's a difference. The process of securing the Craven ship took 3 hours. The human soldiers were thorough but gentle. They collected weapons, secured dangerous areas, and made sure everyone was accounted for. Several injured aliens received medical treatment that was better than anything their own species could provide. During the operation, Vex High learned disturbing facts about the human ship that had defeated him. The Prairie Wind was not alone. Long-range sensors showed at least 12 other human vessels nearby, all of them hidden until now. "How many of you are there?" he asked Sarah. "Enough," she said simply. The truth was more complex. The Prairie Wind was part of a network of disguised warships that protected human shipping lanes. They looked like cargo vessels, research ships, passenger transports, and mining barges. But they were all heavily armed and crewed by experienced military personnel. Every human ship in space is either a warship in disguise or is protected by warships you can't see, Sarah explained. We learned early that the best way to protect our people is to make attacking them more dangerous and leaving them alone. Captain Morrison came aboard the Craven ship to meet with Vex High personally. The two captains sat across from each other in the alien ship's damaged briefing room. "I don't understand your people," Vex High said. "You have the power to conquer half the galaxy. Why do you hide it?" Morrison poured himself a cup of coffee from a thermal bottle. "Because we learned something important about the galaxy. Most species see strength as a reason to fight. We prefer that hostile species see us as not worth the trouble." He activated a holographic display showing shipping routes across 3 galaxies. "See these trade lanes? Every one is monitored by ships like the Prairie Wind. We have over 2,000 disguised warships operating as merchants, explorers, and research vessels." The display showed the true scope of human presence in space. What looked like scattered civilian traffic was actually a carefully organized defense network. Every human ship was either a hidden warship or was protected by hidden warships. "Attack any human ship," Morrison continued, "and you'll find yourself facing the entire Terran defense fleet. But if you leave our ships alone, you'll never even know we're there." Vex High studied the display. "This is why pirate fleets disappear." "Exactly. We don't hunt pirates. We don't go looking for fights. But when someone attacks our ships, we respond with overwhelming force. The pirates that survive get returned to their people with a message." "What message?" Morrison's expression grew serious. "That attacking human ships is a form of suicide. We make sure that lesson gets passed on." The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of another human ship. The Second Chance was a prison transport commanded by Captain Susan Blake. It was designed to hold dangerous criminals and return them to their home worlds. Captain Blake was a small woman with short blonde hair and a no-nonsense attitude. She had been transporting alien prisoners for 10 years, and she knew how to handle difficult situations. "Captain Morrison," she said as she boarded the Craven ship, "I understand you have some passengers for me." 35 Craven crew members, Morrison said. "All alive, all receiving medical treatment. They attacked the Prairie Wind in Sector 7. Blake nodded. "Standard procedure. We'll take them home and deliver the message." The transfer of prisoners took another 2 hours. The Craven crew was moved to comfortable but secure quarters on the Second Chance. They would be well-fed, well-treated, and return to their people in good health. Vex High was the last to be transferred. Before he left, he asked Morrison one final question. "What happens to our ship?" "It will be repaired and returned to your people along with your crew," Morrison said. "We don't keep trophies. We're not conquerors. But you could be," Vex High said. "With ships like this, you could rule the galaxy." Morrison smiled sadly. "We could, but we learned something important from our own history. Ruling people who don't want to be ruled is harder than just leaving them alone. We prefer to be left alone, so we leave others alone too." As the Second Chance prepared to depart, Morrison made one final transmission to the Craven ship. "Captain, Vex High, when you return to your people, please tell them this. The Terran Federation has no interest in conquering your territory or interfering in your affairs. We only want to protect our own people. If you leave our ships alone, you'll never see us again." The message was clear. Humans were not interested in war, but they were very good at it. They preferred to be invisible, but they were everywhere. They seemed weak, but they were incredibly dangerous. The Second Chance jumped to hyperspace, carrying its cargo of confused and defeated pirates. Behind them, the Prairie Wind returned to its disguise as a harmless cargo vessel and continued. On its route, the demonstration was over. The lesson had been taught. Now it was time to see if the Craven Empire would learn from it. The journey back to Craven space took 6 days. Captain Susan Blake kept her prisoners comfortable but secure aboard the Second Chance. The ship was designed for this purpose, with holding areas that felt more like hotel rooms than prison cells. Vex High spent most of the trip thinking about what he had learned. The humans had defeated his ship in seconds, but they had treated his crew with respect. They had given medical care to the injured and good food to everyone. It was not how he expected enemies to behave. "Why do you treat us so well?" he asked Captain Blake during one of their daily conversations. Blake was a small woman, but her eyes were sharp and intelligent. "Because you're people, not animals. Just because you made a mistake doesn't mean you deserve to suffer." "A mistake?" Vex High's voice was bitter. "I tried to kill you. I would have enslaved your crew. That's not a mistake. That's who we are." "Maybe," Blake said calmly. "But it doesn't have to be who you remain." The conversation stayed with Vex High for the rest of the journey. He had expected the humans to be cruel, to take revenge for all the ships his people had attacked. Instead, they showed him a different way of thinking. On the 5th day, they reached the edge of Craven space. The Second Chance was met by a full battle fleet, 27 bioships, all ready for war. The Craven military expected a fight. "Human ship," came the transmission from the fleet commander. "You will surrender immediately or be destroyed." Captain Blake opened a channel to the entire fleet. "This is Captain Blake of the Terran vessel Second Chance. We are returning your people unharmed. We come in peace." The response was immediate and hostile. "Lies, you have taken our warriors prisoner. Prepare to die," Blake sighed. This was the difficult part of her job. She opened another channel, this time broadcasting on all frequencies, so every ship in the area could hear. "Craven Fleet, I am transmitting the personal codes of Captain Vex High and his crew. They are alive, healthy, and eager to return home. We have no hostile intentions. We simply want to complete the transfer and leave." The fleet commander's voice was suspicious. "How do we know this isn't a trap?" Blake activated the ship's external cameras, showing the Craven prisoners on the observation deck. They were clearly visible, clearly unharmed, and clearly waving. To their own people. "Commander Rex Toole." Vex High's voice came over the communication system. "Stand down. These humans are not our enemies." The fleet commander was confused. "Captain Vex High? Is that really you?" "Yes, it's me, and I have important information for the Empire. These humans must be allowed to leave safely." The standoff continued for 2 hours. The Craven fleet surrounded the Second Chance, but they didn't attack. Finally, a single ship approached to verify that the prisoners were really alive, and the transfer took place in the cargo bay of a Craven medical ship. One by one, the alien crew members were returned to their people. Each one was examined by doctors, who confirmed they had been treated well. Captain Blake personally escorted Vex High to the transfer point. "Remember what you learned," she said. "Your people don't have to be pirates. There are other ways to live." "What if they don't listen?" Vex High asked. "Then more of your ships will disappear," Blake said sadly. "We don't want to fight you, but we will defend ourselves." The former pirate captain nodded. "I understand. I will tell them." After the transfer was complete, Captain Blake sent a final message to the Craven fleet. "The Terran Federation wishes to establish peaceful relations with the Craven Empire. We return your people unharmed as a gesture of goodwill. We trust that future encounters between our species will be conducted in accordance with civilized diplomatic protocols. The second chance jumped to hyperspace, leaving the Craven fleet alone with their returned crew members and a lot of questions. The story that Vex High told his leaders was hard to believe. Human cargo ships that were actually warships? A network of disguised military vessels protecting all human shipping? It sounded impossible, but the evidence was clear. Vex High's ship had been completely outmatched. His crew had been captured without a single death, and the humans had returned them all safely, asking for nothing in return. "What do you recommend?" asked Admiral Korthvin, the supreme commander of the Craven military. "Peace," Vex High said without hesitation. "We cannot win a war against these humans. They are everywhere, and they are stronger than we imagined." "You're suggesting we surrender to a species we've never fought?" "I'm suggesting we avoid a war we cannot win," Vex High replied. "Every pirate fleet that has attacked human ships has disappeared. Now I know why. The humans don't just defend themselves. They remove threats completely." The debate continued for days. Some Krovan leaders wanted to test human strength with a larger attack. Others wanted to find human colonies and strike there instead of attacking their ships. But Vex High had learned something important during his time with the humans. "They showed me their shipping routes," he said. "Every human civilian ship is protected by military vessels. If we attack their colonies, we'll face the same response." "You're saying we should fear them?" "I'm saying we should respect them." "There's a difference." The final decision came from the Emperor himself. After reviewing all the evidence, he made a choice that surprised everyone. "Send a message to the Terran Federation," he commanded. "Tell them the Craven Empire wishes to discuss a non-aggression pact." The message was sent within hours. The response came back just as quickly. "The Terran Federation welcomes the opportunity for peaceful dialogue. We look forward to a long and mutually beneficial relationship." Within a year, the Craven Empire had signed a formal treaty with humanity. They stopped attacking human ships and began trading with human colonies instead. The change was profitable for both species. The story of Vex High and the Prairie Wind spread throughout the galaxy. Other species heard about the Craven Treaty and began to wonder if they should reconsider their own policies toward human ships. The message was clear. Humans were not easy prey. They were dangerous predators disguised as harmless traders. Attack them at your own risk. More importantly, they were willing to be peaceful neighbors if you treated them with respect. The reason no hostile species in 3 galaxies dared attack a human ship was simple. Those who tried rarely lived to tell others about their mistake. And those who did live learned that there were better ways to make a living than piracy. The galaxy became a safer place. One converted pirate at a time, the humans continued their work, flying their disguised warships through space, protecting their people and teaching valuable lessons to anyone foolish enough to attack them. It was the perfect system. Peace through strength, safety through deception,